Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. This time we are going to discuss own word questions. Now, own words questions usually these questions they take one phrase from the text and they want you to explain that in your own words. So, look at this one. That is from the specimen paper. Using your own words, explain what the text means by ancient giant of the forest. When you have this kind of the question, remember one thing, that you have to spot, you have to find two such words, or we should go for two words because this question carries 2 marks. So we have to explain two words. Now in this case, here we have word giant and here we have word ancient and giant. So when we are going to explain this, we should come up with the synonym of these words, or we should come up with the explanation of these two words, and do not repeat these words in your answer. Now, it's one of the oldest and tallest trees in the forest. It's a huge tree that has been there for hundreds or thousands of years. Now, in the first sentence where he is saying it's one of the oldest and tallest trees, the next part is telling us that it's a huge tree and that has been there. Huge is explaining the word giant better than the word tallest, right? So it's a huge tree that has been there for hundreds or thousands of years, and hundreds of thousands is describing ancient better than just the word oldest. So you have to explain something in your own words in such a way that you can clearly explain the most important or main words in the answer. Now look at this. The response shows precise understanding of the meaning of both words. Both words. That means two words. Words, one is ancient, one is giant. Words describing the tree, ancient and giant. In the second part of the answer, there for hundreds or thousands of years correctly explains the meaning of ancient, and huge, the same thing that I told you, huge correctly explains the meaning of giant. The comparatives, one of the oldest and tallest trees, lack the precision of the ideas, very old and very tall in the mark scheme. So there you can just see that you have to explain the words by writing the explanation of the main or most important words in the given question. Next one, using your own words, explain what the text means by I neglected my other duties in line number 4. The he carelessly forgot about and did not acknowledge or complete the other tasks of his job. Now see, this child, this candidate, he spotted one word neglected and the other word is duties. And when he is writing his explanation, he didn't use these words in his explanation. Duties is a very simple and common word, but he avoid using that, and he has written the synonym or the explanation of that word, the meaning of that word, that is different tasks of his job. First, neglected, he carelessly forgot. So basically when you attempt these questions that have two words, 2 marks, and they demand your own word answer, so do not repeat the words given in the question. Some time back I was checking a paper in which the student had written, there was a question from, I think, the same paper. I think this was the same, this where it all began. And the student had written that he didn't fulfill all his duties. Now didn't fulfill is telling us that he neglected, but when you are using the word duties in your answer, then that means you are going to get 1 mark only. You have to come up with the synonym of duties, you have to explain duties, and you have to explain neglected also. So this is question number 2. Next, look at the next one. The candidate provides a correct meaning for neglected with forgot. He did not complete is also correct. The candidate provides a correct meaning for duties. See, you have to provide the meanings of these words. Duties with the word tasks. Job is an alternative correct answer. Yes. So he got 2 out of 2. Next is using your own words, explain what Matt is thinking when he says they weren't really talking to me. So here there is no such important word that we should explain, rather there is just a sentence, a statement, and you have to explain basically what does he mean by that. Explain, now this is the mark scheme. Explain what Matt is thinking when he says they weren't really talking to me. He is capable, strong, confident, optimistic, and he is a good swimmer. The remarks are not for less capable, weaker swimmers. Or he is nervous, worried about the weather. He is trying to hide his nervousness, or he is trying to hide his nerves. So any possible answer should provide a clear explanation of this sentence, that is they weren't really talking to me. And do not use the word talking in your answer, or do not take the sentence or phrase from the question while answering, so that then you will have the correct response. Look at this. This is from examiner's report. There were 2 marks available for this inferential question. That means this question demanded, or this question required implicit understanding. So 2 different ideas were required. The question directed candidates to line 24 for the context, finding the specific details from the line and from previous paragraph. Paragraph 4 was key to successful response. They are organizers of the race. If they were not talking to the writer, who were they talking to? This was explicitly stated in line number 23 and 24. Their remarks were intended for less capable swimmers. So this is what Matt, the writer, was thinking. Many successful responses correctly inferred from Matt's words that he does not include himself in the less capable swimmer. So you have to provide the correct explanation. Another one. Use your own words. Explain what Laura means when she describes the bus journey as rumbling along in a rickety bus. So in this question, you need to spot the most important word. So I can see that rumbling is the word and rickety is the word. So when you are explaining this, when you are writing your explanation, when you are writing your answer, you need to come up with the synonym or the clear meanings of these 2 words. Now look at this. This is from mark scheme. The first one is about rumbling, traveling slowly, slow, making a noise, rattly, loud. That is for rumbling. And then shaky, bumpy, moving all over, unsafe, old, in a bad condition, uncomfortable. That is for the word rickety. Rickety is something that is in such a bad state that even you touch it, it would fall down. So rickety is described by, or this is something that is too delicate to handle. Shaky, bumpy, moving all over, unsafe, old, in a bad condition. So when you write your answer, you are going to explain these 2 words without writing these words in your answers very clearly. Look at this. Using your own words, explain what Laura means when she describes the bus journey as rumbling along in a rickety bus. In question 1b, the rubric made it clear that use of own words was necessary to evidence understanding of both rumbling and rickety in the context of the bus journey. Successful swim answers offered creditworthy meanings for both words, such as noisy or slow for rumbling and old, uncomfortable or bumpy for rickety. Where answers failed to score both marks, it was usually the result of having explained just one part of the phrase, such as giving 2 meanings for the same word, such as slow and noisy for rumbling. Answers which identified the road surface as bumpy were also incorrect, because the word bumpy or rickety is used for the bus, not for the road. So they were also incorrect. The focus had to be the rickety bus rather than on the condition of the road. So keep these things in your mind while answering your own word question. Advice to candidates on questions A to G. First one is read each question carefully, underline or highlight any keywords, check how many marks are allocated to each question. If there are 2 marks for this or using your own word question, 2 marks are given. So rumbling along in a rickety bus, if you just explain rumbling along, that means you will get 1 mark. So because it has 2 marks, so you have to write something that can get you 2 marks. And you have to describe rickety as well as rumbling. Read all paragraph or lines identifying the question before deciding on an answer. If there is a section of the text that is difficult, read around it to get an idea of what is going on. Avoid lengthy copying from the text. Where copying is not advised, do not copy the answers. Rather, write them in your own words where it is possible, except the details that we have already discussed. Carefully select details from the text and only include what is relevant to answer the question. Common errors and guidance for candidates. The responses mostly provide focused answers to part questions. Okay, whilst copying out the question, these are general points that we have already discussed, so I'm not going to discuss this again. Okay, so that was about the onward question. And remember, there are two things regarding this onward question. First thing, in all these onward question, you are going to write answer in your own words. No copying of even a single word from the phrase that is given in the question. Secondly, when you are writing, you need to spot one or two, rather two, because this question has 2 marks, two most important words in the mentioned phrase, and then write the meanings of those phrases or explanation of those phrases or synonyms of those phrases, so you can successfully explain the meaning of the phrase given in the question. That's all for now. Okay, Allah Hafiz.